Folks, you've clicked on this video because you want to improve at chess, and I am someone who has gone from rapid rating of 591 all the way up to a peak of 2058, I believe. So the underlying question is, how do you do it? There is one pivotal piece of advice that I recommend to absolutely everyone because it's simple and effective. And it's just stop blundering pieces. Stop being this smooth-brained little imbecile and just stop. Just stop blundering pieces. Take a second to just breathe before every move. Just look at the board and just stop. And this isn't to come off as antagonizing at all, because I've been there myself too many times. When I see people recommending 1,000 rated players to buy 50 quid's worth of opening courses that you never go and look at, it doesn't mean anything. The way that you will improve your chess is by being consistently more accurate over time. If you just blunder fewer pieces and capture more blundered pieces, your rating will soar, because that is all you need. Now, I understand that it's a lot more difficult than, just saying it and doing it, of course. I'm going to show you some games throughout my journey on the rating ladder, and hopefully I can try and convey the point. Again, already, I used to play d4 back in the day. e5, knight f3 is inaccurate, it will tell you. You might look at that and think, oh no, I've got to study openings. You can play knight f3 all you want if you like. It doesn't actually matter, because neither of us here are good enough to capitalize on it. It doesn't really mean anything. Here, king d7, weird move. I would never recommend playing it, but it doesn't make you worse in any way. All the pieces on the board are intact thus far. Until, obviously, this point. This, okay, admittedly can be quite difficult to see. It's a continuity thing. So you take here, immediately, ding, 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 moth brain goes on. Light, hone in, oh my god, there's a pawn, I've got to capture it. I get it. That's how it goes sometimes. But you've got to understand with continuity, all it means is, how does a capture or a move change things on the board holistically, on the whole? My opponent here misses this, and even though he takes, and there is now queen d5, fine. Not really the end of the world just yet. King's in the middle of the board, it's weird, sure, but a +2 advantage is not going to be able to be capitalized on by a 700 rated player. That's just the truth. The problem I have with this game is then king e8. You can go bishop d6, you can preserve the bishop. And okay, there's queen b7 and, all kinds of stuff, and you're getting your house torn apart by the big bad wolf or whatever. But you can't, just for now, preserve this piece. No, okay, we get king e8, queen c5, rook c8, check. Now it's just a case of cleanup. Okay, there's a pawn falls there, but doesn't really matter. You're up a piece. So the conversion is simple. You're just going to trade down all the pieces until all that's left is perhaps this knight or this bishop. Few pawns, job done. Nice and easy. You could win it against the computer. Queen c4. You'll notice all the while, I'm not really doing a whole lot. I'm just playing nice simple moves. Here though, I go queen, queen takes f5, and just blunder my queen in a single move. First off, right, look at the time control we're playing here. It's a 15-10 game, not under any time pressure whatsoever. I have 20 seconds of thinking, and then my moth brain goes alight and goes, oh my god, this free pawn that I've forgotten about. No, 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 no. That's not how this works. Look how long that pawn has been sat there. Do you think I wouldn't have taken it here because, is I don't get it, but I'm showing you that we all do it and it is okay. You've just got to do it a little less and less. But here, perfectly viable move, Queen G7 or whatever. You just, well, not black's move, sure, but I wasn't taking this pawn because I knew it was guarded. That wasn't the issue. It's just the fact that once we get to this point, I get a bit excited and go, oh my god, this pawn. And even though I spent 20 seconds thinking of this move, I only really spent one. Because 19 seconds, I've just been gorming at the board, dribbling. Final 1 second, I've gone, ooh, free pawn, and then the game is lost. And a 700 can convert this very easily, and I lose the bishop, throw the knight into the fire. Relatively unimportant, but game ends, it's done. So, from a 700 perspective, had I not blundered my queen, it would have been very easy to just go through. There's nothing else in that game really mattered. The opening didn't matter. The middle game strategy didn't really matter. All I had to do was be up a piece and trade down all the other pieces. It's simple. Now, here's a game between two 1300s. Myself and Paul McBooze, an excellent name, by the way. This one, so I obviously point towards the lack of importance of openings. Sometimes they can catch you out if you get like B3 cowboys and stuff. But just play solid, just play normal moves, take center space as I'm doing now. And just try and create a structure you're familiar with. And then we get knight f6, opponent goes knight h5, and I take it. Queen f7 and the game ends. That's 1300s, a rapid game where I've got so much time on the clock. If you're 800, 1000, whatever, if you're sub 1300 and think that you can't do it, you really can. Please use this as motivation because this kind of thing happens every single time. Every single game, you just have to capitalize on it. Knight h5. The idea was simple. Want to come here. No, in fact, the idea wasn't simple. The idea was stupid because even if you take, you're going to lose this and then this if you go g6, or and it's all you're getting shredded apart anyway. Again, it's continuity. You've got to acknowledge this threat here on the f7 square. Don't move the knight. Please don't move the knight. If you can pounce on those mistakes, that is all you will need. I promise you. Again, here's another one. Now, an 1800 will versus 1000. Why this game came about, I actually can't remember. I don't know why I was playing a 1000 at this level, because I don't know the guy. This ties into another lesson. We'll sort of power through a lot of this start, because to give him his due, he plays everything very sensibly. You'll see inaccuracies, and for example, the eval boss sort of twinges here, knight f4 being a mistake. Again, not enough to capitalise on, really, because I blow the advantage away straight away with queen e3. Yeah, to give him his due, he plays this very smartly. Pieces start to fly off. I should, as an 1800, be decimating a 1000, but clearly I'm not, and already he has a bit of an advantage. Again, not really. I'm just desperately trying to keep pieces on the board, and I can't. Again, another slight chance here, but we're playing someone much higher rated than you. Don't think they're just these immortal beings. They aren't. They really, really aren't. Knight d2. And we just have an even endgame, all things considered. Even material. Better to have a bishop, arguably. Okay, there's a bit of an advantage here, as the pass pawn is rolling. This d5, excellent play there from my opponent. King d7, and of course you're all waiting for the blunder. King e7 isn't correct because of a nice tactical motif. I'm promote now. The square's been blocked. Then you jump in here and pick up the bishop. Two knights are better than one, and even though it's minimal pawns, this is winning. You should be okay here. 1800 might seem like a big step right now. I don't see that. I just go h5 instead. Now, who's really better here? This is a 1000 rated player. 1000 rated against an 1800. That gap is enormous. Only black here is playing for a win. You know, it's rigid defense. It's a bishop versus a knight, which is already, you know, already terrible for white. But then these 3 pawns as well. That is not a pawn. These 3 pawns are just so strong. I go king g4. Black now just has to make progress, you know, build up on dark squares and keep your pawns guarded. March forward, bring your king along when you can. I've got a minute 54 on the clock as well. My opponent has 4:02, and here my opponent goes king g7. I was this close to losing to a 1000 as an 1800. My opponent spends 30 seconds thinking and goes king g7. The idea, obviously, concerned with this passed pawn promoting, it won't ever get through. It can't. It simply can't. And if you wanted to stop it, then maybe you'd go king g8 instead, something like that. Anything. Well, my opponent tragically blunders knight e6, which I do play, and then it's just clean up time. Like, this is a very simple conversion. Again, this is what I'm saying to you. I mean, we don't have to watch all of this stuff, of course, but had my opponent just acknowledged that in this position, the only threat to him is forks, because that's how tricky knights are, and just looked for perhaps a trade instead, and then marched these pawns forward, they would have won the game. Eva passes point 8. I can't defend this. Not a chance. But no, a tragic end in g7. Now, I bring you over to a game I played just today, actually. My rating has taken a bit of a hit recently. Trying to recoup some of that back, but I'm playing an 1800. And myself currently 1900. Again, opening's a little bit weird even now. People don't know their openings until like the 2200 level, hence why you don't need to learn them. If you're getting your head blown off in a Stafford Gambit 100 times over like I used to, just don't go into it anymore. Play 4 knights instead of taking the pawn and the Petrov. If you're like me and you play the Spanish, you might get a Spanish variation of the 4 knights game. And then it's just that same kind of structure again, you know? It's things like this that you can just so easily avoid with openings. This game starts off pretty simple, but then here I make a blunder. Already I blundered in a game where I'm at risk of losing 11 points, and possibly my sanity if I lose the game. White to play and win. It's quite a nice one, admittedly. I hadn't seen it at all. Take, and then a6. Bishop gets booted back to c8, and then you can just chop this knight down. Even worse because there's a skewer. The best move, what's the best move now? f5. Go like this. Probably even chop off. And then you get this, and I mean, this is just a clean conversion, isn't it? This bishop will be so tonk. We don't get any of that, thankfully. My opponent goes f3 instead. Wait. That's the wrong line. Opponent goes f3 instead. I chop off. And then we get this. But there's still an advantage there after a6, which I hadn't seen. And it's desperately just me trying to claw out, you know. But again, already, bit of a subtle tactic. But had he played it, he would have just won the game. There's nothing I could have done, really. But here, Here is an interesting one, because see the rook has come by to attack my queen. There's computer's telling me now there's two moves in this position to maintain relative equality, queen c6 and queen b3. I'd looked at both of them. Queen b3 seemed the more audacious option. Obviously the idea being you want to guard your pawn. Decided to go for the safe bet, which is queen c6. I'm like, okay, guards the pawn. I've got a tempo to think about things. Maybe I'll be able to take on a6. Or I could bring the knight to d5. Good prospects. My opponent goes bishop c4, and my immediate thought is, oh my god, I'm such an idiot. Why did I let that happen? This is what happens when perhaps you're a bit tilted or emotionally you're a bit down when it comes to your chess, and you just second guess yourself immediately. My first thought when I saw this was, oh my god, how have I allowed this? And then look at it for 5-10 seconds trying to come up with a response, and then just go, oh wait, queen c4, he just hung his bishop. He's played a masterclass of a game. You know, maybe he's done lots of middle game studies and opening things, whatever it may be. Then it all comes down to one move. He just simple lapse in concentration and the whole thing's done. Queen c4, queen b3, you know, bit of shuffling round. But this is a simple conversion now. Nice little double exclam there, rook dc8, the knight's under fire, but would blunder rook c2, rook c5, knight b4, jumping in, rook c1. Again, I'm the one here with the low time, it's 2 minutes to his 4. Rook c1, you might look at that and think, oh my god, scary, he's hitting my queen. Queen c1 and the game just ends. Again, he just hung a rook. I'm not one instance suggesting this is an easy, quick fix that you can just do, but over time, you'll come to realise that these blunders need to become sort of fewer and farther between for you to improve. You can know 20 moves of Italian game theory, but if you get to move 21 and dash your queen straight at a river, it doesn't mean anything at all. This is why I'm saying this is the priority. It has to be. So, how do you improve your board vision? Well, puzzles is obviously a big one. Yeah, puzzles helpful because help you realize the scope of your pieces and just the expanse that they have. Chess.com have like a little like sort of OSU style clicker game thing that can just help you look at squares and stuff. And of course, although I've been slagging off opening study, familiarity with an opening can keep you safe for the first 10-15 moves, as long as you know the structures that you're getting yourself into. But please, 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 just stop blundering pieces before anything else. I still blunder pieces, my opponents do, and this is at the 2000 level, thereabouts. But if you can just be slightly more accurate, your rating will soar, I promise you.